Hey guys, I forgot to mention something in the long video about evolution of the DACs from the early DAC 3s to the later ones. I forgot to mention this. When I had this thing modified, and actually also before it was modified, I experienced something with this DAC, and that was when I was rolling tubes on it. I realized that because it's an old school DAC that has a more limited type of sound, the best type of tubes that work on these are the ones that are, I have to say, slightly lower quality, that have a more conservative sound. Because what I've experienced is that the top tubes that I had available, they were so good that they were zooming in on too much noise with this DAC. And that's what I want to share with you guys, is that once you get over to the better versions of, for example, this DAC here, this DAC 3, once you go from the earlier versions of it to, let's say, 2005, 2015, 2025, you will discover with time that you can use more levels of tubes on the DAC, and you will be able to get away with it and explore the world of tubes more. But in my case here, with this more limited sound, I had to settle with a level of tube which was, let's just call it 3 out of 10, instead of the 5 or 7 out of 10 tubes that I had laying around. So yeah, I was of course a bit heartbroken, because I felt that in a way I wasn't quite getting everything out of this DAC. But yeah, I'm just letting you guys know that that is an aspect of this world that we're living in. Simply that you need some better gear. Like, for example, my Otto. When it went from a standard version to a much better version, the ability to roll tubes was greatly improved. So again, that applies to the Otto, and probably also even to the Audio Note CD player. At some point, I will probably have to change the tubes on that thing, and because it's such a high level piece of gear, later on I will probably have more options of moving the sound using better tubes. So I'm just saying that's something to look forward to, and also something to sort of like understand that when you're at a lower level, you can only use a certain level amount of tubes before it just becomes usually too noisy to listen to. So yeah, it's annoying. You have probably some tubes at home that are world class, but you can't use it in something that's sort of half world class. So it's just to explain a problem that I've run in a couple of times with the gear that I own. It's kind of annoying, but it's just the way that things are in the tube world. And yeah, just wanted to share that with you guys. Bye. Oh, and before you go, I also want to share a different thing that I noticed. In general, I've noticed that with these audio note pieces of gear here, where you can, I think you can sort of, isn't there like a fuse? Well, probably when you remove the whole power plug underneath here, there's probably like a fuse you can change. I've noticed that audio note in general, you want to use the original audio note fuses, even though they aren't like super world class and pretty basic in sound. If you start changing the audio note fuses, and let's just say you use the exact same type, but you go over to something like an improved copper or silver version, you do it on the DAC or you do it on the amp or the CD player. I just want to tell you guys that I have pretty bad experience doing that on audio note gear. And that's because audio note gear is already colored in sound. So when you start introducing different types of materials of specialized fuses, that you can usually only get away with it when you choose the very, 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 very best ones. And I'm talking starting from hi-fi tuning, going up towards QSA, that type of fuse. That's the only type of fuses that you can get away with, in my opinion, with Audio Note if you want to improve the sound. So take this as a piece of advice from a guy who got burned a lot in the tube world. Do not use AHP, Gustad, and all of those special ceramic Chinese fuses that cost somewhere in the region of a couple of bucks all the way up to around $100 per fuse. Even the ones at around 200 are a bit dodgy and hard to get away with in a piece of Audio Note gear in general. The gear is colored in general, so you want to use a fuse that is very neutral, even though the sound of those fuses are a bit thin, are a bit brittle, which you can hear. But in the case of Audio Note, it helps bring forward the originality of the sound when you use these fuses like AHP, Gustad, these special Chinese fuses that I bought on what the hell is it called? eBay, Alibaba, places like that. I've experienced that when I start using fuses like that, it confuses the hell out of me when I listen to my music, because I get color on top of my already colored unit, colored amp, colored CD player, and it's not a high level of color. It's a lower quality color, and that quality of color works great in a lower piece of quality transistor gear that is harsh, metallic, has no sense of tonality. Fine, then you can get away with it. But I'm telling you guys, as a sort of inside piece of information that to give to you so you don't get burned, so you don't waste a lot of money, don't, with pieces like Audio Note gear and probably SV1X, Abbas Audio, Kondo or whatever, don't put these normal improved fuses in. You have to get the original stuff from the manufacturer or get something that's extremely expensive. And I'm talking hi-fi tuning is barely good enough. I'm talking QSA. Though they make some of the best fuses in the world, but they're ridiculously priced that you pretty much have to pay more for the fuse than you have to for the unit itself. So it's ridiculous. I'm just saying, save your money. Use the original fuses if you can, or in some rare cases, you can find some slightly better fuses that are still relatively cheap, that are perhaps 1% better than the original fuses. You could try and look for that. But I'm just saying, ceramic fuses, gold fuses, fuses that go from gold to silver, where they have all kinds of quartz, sand, and stuff like that in it, doesn't work on Audio Note gear, DAC, amp, CD players. It colors the sound too much. It creates a soup of detail where you lose all the originality of all the parts that goes on inside. I can't hear the journey of parts that are going on inside of the units. Here, and here. It sort of becomes like a blockage in the system, weighing it down, going like brr, putting like fat, weighing it down, simplifying the music, generalizing music. So I just want to say to you guys, don't do it. You can get away with stuff like that on gear like Macintosh, especially the lower, weaker models that distort more and have a more brittle metallic sound. Those types of units, go nuts. There you can have a lot of fun. There you can make a big difference. There you can boost the sound. get like 25, 30, 50% better sound in many of the aspects of the sound. But I have to say that even with stuff like Macintosh, Aquaphase, whatever it's called in the transistor world, it still to some degree biases the sound and goes away from the original, more flawed, brittle, and harsh sound, which you to some degree need. I'm sorry, you need it so you can hear your cables, your plugs, and everything else, your really good power conditioner. You need it. So I'm telling you guys, if you can, stay away from fuses. Stay away from also stuff that you can put, which is oil on the cables. Stay away from that. Stay away from all kinds of cheap dampening devices. If you have to get into dampening devices, use stuff like this, Artesania dampeners. Yes, you can get away with it, putting it on like an amp here, on top here, where the transformers are, and you can get away with it here and here. It creates a more dampened, controlled sound with a bit more black level, but because it's on the floor, you are also creating another form of noise on top of that. So it isn't an optimal solution. For that to work, the gear has to be uncoupled from the floor on a special piece of furniture. I don't think that most furniture are good enough at decoupling the gear. So that thing over there, those dampeners, they only really work on gear like this that has something like an Artesania piece of furniture here. When you do that, then these are pretty much essential. Then you can bring down the noise of this and this and this, probably to around half. And then you can start getting into really high quality cables and hearing stuff that other people usually can't hear. And that's how the game of hi-fi works. That's how you get success in hi-fi. That's how you make everything react, and how everything in this complex world of audio gear starts to make sense. And let me also share another tip with you guys. Notice that I'm pulling the power from this plug over here. That is shared with the group that is over here, where I have a PC down there, as you can see. And even though that PC is off, it's on standby. It's got a thing like this lighting up. All of this stuff here that I'm listening to is shared on the group, same group of these electrical lights and this light over here. So when I have my PC running, it's actually to some degree interfering with my sound here. The radiators are interfering with the sound. So of course, when I listen to music, what I do is I turn basically everything off. And it's not a perfect solution for an audiophile like me especially. But I'm saying that all of these things, they matter. When I have radiators on, and especially the PC on at the same time, it squashes the sound. So the sound doesn't come fully over to my listening position over here. It comes more over to a place like this. The sound gets generalized, softened, compressed. I lose a bit of the variety in the sound. I don't quite get the stereo separation. It's sort of as if there's a resistance and it can't really get over to me because it's sort of processing the power in order to make the music reach over to me. So I'm just saying, if you're in this situation, which I am, which isn't ideal, the best thing you can do to save a lot of money is just turn everything off and then play your music at a time where most people go to bed, which is around 2200 hours. At that point, you can make something like this, which is a problem, a lot less of a problem. And of course, later on, I can move all of this stuff here onto a decent piece of furniture, and I can graduate from that piece of furniture to something that's like, I don't know, an artisania piece of furniture where it's up in the air, decoupled from the floor using dampeners. So I'm just saying all of this stuff, don't think of it as if it's a challenge, a bother, a thing that doesn't make you enjoy music when you're listening there. Think of it as a game within a game within a game, where you can do a lot of stuff to manipulate sound so you in the end can connect with whatever gear you have. I'm just showing audio note gear because that's what I own. You could have something completely different like Sensui or Classe or Nade or something like that. That's fine with me. You can still apply everything that I said to those pieces of gear. I just want you to be happy, to feel the true connection to music and feel like there's the huge amount of potential that's coming out. That's what I want. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a nice day.